Before we get to the interview, everybody, I just want to let you know I'm Dave Bondy, independent journalist. Please help support my independent journalism and click the link down below to join my Substack or my locals community. It's only $5 a month. You can quit at any time. I left the mainstream media in order to keep it real.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'll be quick because you said
go Lions.
You're rooting for the Lions today, so that's good news. So remind everyone again, you are near the border. In what city?
Yes, we're exactly on the border in a little town about 140, 150 miles west of San Antonio called Del Rio, Texas. And right now, the office I'm at right now, I'm about maybe 3-4 miles from the border.
Gotcha. Okay. The reason I brought you on because in just the last week, there's been so much, new information coming out. And President Biden said that he wants the Republicans to agree to this legislation that he says would shut down the border. But I looked at it yesterday, and I want to put it up on the screen. This legislation wouldn't really shut it down. It would still allow 150,000 illegal migrants per month to enter in 1.8 million per year. Now, Biden says that's a victory because it's less than's coming through now. But is that really shutting down the border?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what his
because what he says in shutting down the border is not. I think when people think shutting down the border, that means shutting it down and enforcing the laws, because there's laws on the books right now in this country, right?
Exactly, and a lot of people like me are very skeptical, especially if you live here on the border, because it's a lot of what his policies have done that have created this disaster. And so I think that's a wink kind of thing that this is going to solve it, but we're not very optimistic about that. We were talking before that what seems to be happening right now, his approach to solving the issues with illegal immigration, it's like a profusely bleeding leg, right? And his solution is, well, let's just get more towels. Let's get more people to help, clean up the mess, and let's get more towels. He could have stopped or closed down the border 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when you started seeing the massive influx and trending astronomically up, but he didn't. Coincidentally, this is an election year, an election cycle, and so that's why people like me are very skeptical of his intentions. If he did want to, have some sort of concrete solution, he can just shut down the border right now, and then start to work in good faith with the other side on bringing forth some concrete solutions. And honestly, what will solve the border is instituting a lot of the Trump era policies, which on day one he did away with.
Yeah, and now that you say that, and I have this right here, I believe this was the day he was inaugurated. He put out this news release to everybody, January 20th, 2021, proclamation on the termination of emergency with respect to the southern border of the United States and redirection of funds diverted to border wall construction. So he stopped. Basically, he said there was no emergency. He stopped the money. It was day one when he really made the message to the world, come on in, basically. I mean, on day one, that was one of his first actions he did. So some are saying that he actually made the problem worse when he first took office.
Well, exactly. That opened the door, but what created the massive influx and rush were, you get a monetary stipend, a free trip to anywhere USA, and free housing in most cases. So who is not going to take advantage of it, right? So. Yeah, if we go back and reinstitute some of those policies that Trump had in place, it would solve a lot of these problems. But he's in a pickle right now because the extreme left element of his party will not stand for that.
Yeah, because and he may not want to, because it makes it look like he's saying Trump was right, and it's all politics at this point, and it's really sad because people like you're living there having to deal with it. This isn't politics for you. This is real life.
Exactly. Yeah, so we see this every day. We hear a lot of what's going on. We see the faces of a lot of these people that are on the front line, and they're demoralized, they're exhausted, they're extremely frustrated with what they're seeing firsthand.
And you told me, even I remember that, was it your town that you're in where there's a Democrat as mayor, and even he is not happy. Obviously, he's not happy with this, the way things are
No,
being handled.
that's in Eagle Pass where
Oh,
all of this is happening, where that controversy with that park is. He is a Democratic mayor, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs for the government to do something. But um, you know, here with what the governor did, where the state took control of that park in the heart of the city, where a lot of these illegal entries are coming from. Um, you know, it's a step in the right direction, but honestly, it's not doing much to solve the illegal immigration, because they stopped coming from that point, but they're coming in now from just a few miles up north and south of that area. So we'll see, right? Well, I mean, we'll see what
yeah.
happens in good faith. But if he did want to stop it right now, like he could have done the past 2.5 years, is immediately shut down the border with some of the Trump era policies that were already in place.
I think the people in the United States now realize it's an issue. You live at the border, you know it's a problem, but most of the polls say now, people from New Hampshire to Montana to New York, all of them say now the border is one of their top issues. I think now finally the country has gotten it, I think.
And what's brought a lot of attention to this, and where people are now seeing this firsthand, is the strategy that the governor is using to bus people into Chicago, bus people into New York. And so much for sanctuary cities. When you're getting the just a small influx of what we're seeing here now, people are raising flags that we can't cope. We don't have the resources. We have a lot of concerns about the people that they're just dropping off here, and but we're dealing with this every single day.
What's it like, before I let you go? What's it like on a daily basis? I mean, you're driving around. I think you said, are you the one you have a brother that owns a restaurant, or there was an issue like on a daily basis? Do you see these individuals that are coming into the country? Do you see them out and about?
It comes in cycles here, Dave. Right now, we're not seeing too much. I think the last time I spoke with you, is that the cartels use certain tactics when they want to cross God knows what, there's a certain area. They overwhelm with these illegal aliens a certain sector, because they know the protocols that the border patrol uses, where they have to literally pull agents from the field, literally pull them from the field to help with processing documentation. So that leaves huge areas of land unprotected, and so they cross through these areas. And not only that, they coach a lot of these immigrants. uh, so one of the first words out of their mouth when they are caught is asylum, because they know that as soon as they utter that word, that there has to be a protocol for processing and investigation, and so that ties a lot of the resources that the border patrol has, to include manpower. And um, so yeah, so the solution is to stop them before crossing, not to get more people to process. Because if you get more people to process, you give them a notice to appear um, after they're processed, and the notice to appear are 2, 3, 4. I've seen up to 8 years down the road. That's insanity. That's not going to solve anything. And not to keep running on here, but did you see that person that they caught last week? um, Malsum Samadov,
Yeah, I've been hearing a
where
lot about that. Yeah.
and that's insanity. The video shows him, somebody's is videotaping, where he's saying, "You're too dumb to know who I am. You're too dumb to know who I am. But soon you will know my name." And it turns out this guy was did some time back in or did some, I believe it was 12 years, if I remember the story correctly, and he was a chairman of Azerbaijan Islamic Party. And it's crazy. And so last month we had um, 371,000 or so apprehended. That does not include the known and unknown gotaways. So there could be people potentially like him uh, that we don't even know about that have crossed, the border. And so we're here, and this is for a lot of us not a political thing
Yeah.
where right or left. It's a matter of national security, a concern. Not one single person that is for open borders that I know of, maybe you know a couple, will willingly let unvetted illegal immigrants into their home, but they expect the country to do so. They
Yeah.
expect the state to do so. Um, so yeah, it's so you can see where when there's some so-called solutions proposed, how skeptical we are
Yeah. Last question.
of their effectiveness.
Exactly. Last question. Does it make you feel maybe a little better? It seems like, and I know you don't trust the government and to do the right thing, but the fact that the country is starting to jump on board, it seems like, for example, when they had the vote recently in New Hampshire and Iowa, they asked so many people, what's your number one concern? Immigration came up 6 months ago. You probably didn't hear that. Is it good at least that it's starting to get the words getting out everywhere? I mean, that's at least a positive, I guess.
Yes, yes, especially like I said, with a strategy where the governor is busing people into these places like Chicago, New York, and it's affecting them. I believe, I'm not sure if it was the last interview, but maybe the one before, where I said this is going to affect you. It's going
Yep.
to affect all of us one day. Until you see it firsthand, you won't understand it. But now that it's affecting people firsthand, they're understanding it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's opening eyes, right? And so we'll see how it plays out at the polls, right? But yes, this is you're exactly right. This is I think a step in the right direction as
Exactly.
far as
So,
opening people's eyes to what's happening.
yeah, and I still plan on coming down, visiting you, visiting some other people in the area. And I just wanted to bring you
Right.
on to get an update on what's happening and let people know the reality and continue to have that sink in and just stay safe. And I really appreciate you taking the time again.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Okay, have a good evening, and yeah, go Lions.
Yes, go Lions.